Hi guys, my name is Joy, and for today's video I'm going to share a few studying tips that has helped me throughout my school, bachelor's and my master's. And these tips could be very like duh or I already knew this kind of thing, but it's just worked for me throughout the years, and I'm still here, so I just thought by sharing these tips it might just be useful for some of you. Quick background to what I'm doing and what I have been studying, because I do think that different streams or different subjects do need different kind of studying tips and studying methods, and you can see that how I'm able to utilize these tips into my decision making and my academics. So yes, just to give you a little context as to how I've been able to use tips and tricks or these methods for me or for the subjects that I've been studying. My background since school has been in Faculty of Arts or Humanities, so I've been studying social sciences and art mostly throughout my whole life, or at least since 11th grade. That has been the main focus, or that those have been the main subjects that I've been studying. In class 11 and 12 in the CBSE system in India, we're usually divided in streams. I don't know how they're doing it now, but more or less we're divided into streams. I was in the humanities or the arts stream, so my subjects were English, history, political science, economics, and home science. And for my bachelor's, I did Bachelor's of Arts in English honors from LSR at Delhi University. And for my master's, well, before my master's, I did a pre-master's course on arts and culture. And then for my master's course, I'm currently doing my master's in creative industries. So that also falls under the Faculty of Arts. So yeah, that is the quick background. I have a very solid background, if you can say, in arts, literature, humanities, and the social sciences. Maybe you can already tell, but the first studying tip is to try to study what you're good at or what you enjoy. And there's a good reason for that, because number one, you're not going to be good at everything that you do, and that is okay. And the thing is that you might as well strengthen your strengths. That's what my dad told me in class 10, is that it's okay if you're not great in maths or in other sciences, but your strength lies in the social sciences or in the humanities subjects or in language. So focus on that. And that's exactly what I did. And not only are they my strengths compared to sciences or maths or sports, but they're also subjects that I really enjoy. So that really helps, like studying what you're good at or maybe studying what you're interested in. The reason why it's so important to study what you're interested in is because as you grow up, you won't have a person who would constantly tell you to study or constantly tell you to keep going or constantly be there for you to either pressure you or to motivate you. Once you're an adult and eventually when you're about to choose your own streams or so, then you're going to have to be that person for yourself, and that motivation has to come from you. And that's the main thing behind adulting, is that you're not going to have someone to push you around all the time. So your motivation, which mostly comes from either the fear or the pressure factor or your passion or your interest. If there has been someone in your life who's just been like constantly pushing you, or you just have that fear of failure or whatever that makes you keep going, then that's great for you, that works out. But then most of the times as you grow up or in your adult life, you're not going to have that person. So the best way to motivate yourself is to do what you're interested in, or it is most often out of passion. So that's why I'm saying that it's important to study what you like or what you're interested in or something that you're passionate about, because motivation is not going to be a constant thing, especially not as you grow older. So yeah. And also there's this thing I come across, that you might have an unfair advantage. So the unfair advantage, I found this out from this YouTuber Ali Abdal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he had this video on the unfair advantage, and it's a book, I believe. I've linked the video in my bio so you can go check them out. The gist of the whole thing is that all of us come with some unfair advantage. There are some strengths that we have, there are some qualities that we're just naturally good at. Not all of us are into studying, not all of us want to study, so we might as well sort of study what we're already good at and get it done with. Moving on to the next point is to recognize what kind of learner you are. There are mainly 4 types of learners, and those are auditory, visual, reading and writing, or kinesthetic learners. So you can be all 4 of these. It's just that there are times happens when one of these techniques or one of these styles are your stronger points than the rest. So you can have all 4 learning styles incorporated when you study, but also maybe one learning style is stronger or better or more effective than the others. So the first one are the auditory learners. So if you're an auditory learner, you learn best by hearing things or by speaking things out. And maybe you learn the best during lectures or seminars or through podcasts and audiobooks or verbal interaction or verbal recalling, like when you say things to yourself. So maybe if you learn the best that way, you can sort of incorporate this kind of learning method into your study routine or while you're studying. Personally, I'm a very weak auditory learner because usually what goes in from one ear just goes out the other. So it can differ from person to person. That's what I'm trying to say. Secondly is the visual learners, and these people learn the best through their eyes or through visual modes like presentations, images, graphics, movies, and videos. So yeah, maybe you learn the best through watching a movie or watching videos on YouTube about those things, or by presentations or graphs or images, or by drawing something or creating images. Next up is the reading and the writing learner. So you learn the best when you read it for you, like by yourself, or when you write it by yourself. So I am a reading/writing kind of learner, so I need to write things down when I'm studying or when I'm learning something new, or I need to read it by myself for myself and make my own notes on the side or underline it by myself to be able to learn the best. And I can sort of recall my own handwriting, I can recall my own notes or the way I write certain things. So yeah, that's why it's so hard for me to sometimes learn everything through digital notes, because of the uniformity of the fonts and the styles and the sizes, and I can't really recall the things when I try to reimagine it again. But when I write my own notes, like handwritten notes, I know exactly the number of points I write and the colors that I use or the way that I wrote a certain word. So that is the most helpful for me. The last one is the kinesthetics learner. So these learners are able to remember or learn things by physically getting involved in it. Very tangible learners, I guess, in a way, or very like they have to be a participant in the activity, they have to move around, or they have to do something and make something in order to study or in order to learn. Very activity-driven learners, I guess. A lot of activities like games or dance or making certain projects really help these learners. And I can think of like this one Hannah Montana scene. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I think she was learning the name of the bones, the name of the different bones for her test, and she just couldn't learn or remember them for her tests. So she made up the whole dance, like a whole song, and danced to it, and that was the only way she could recall it, by doing the whole dance during the exam. But there are learners that way, so maybe Hannah Montana was a kinesthetic learner. So the third thing is equally important. If you don't want to just learn for the sake of learning or study for the sake of studying, but you actually want to like sort of figure out how to pass or how to do well in the system, you need to recognize the system. And this is important because school is not the same as your BA level college, and BA level college is not going to be the same as your MA level college. So that's first and foremost, like you need to recognize the system in the form of an institution. So what works in a school system, or what works in your board that you're following. Are you following the CBSE? What works under CBSE? And what works in a university? What works in DU, like Delhi University, and what works for like abroad, or in what country, or what works for that country, what works for that place, that culture. So you really need to sort of recognize the system, because it's not going to be the same throughout. That's also the reason why my studying methods have changed throughout my life too. My studying methods from school has not been the same in college, and has not been the same in college as in university for my master's. So you really need to recognize the system. And not only that, the system can also mean the subject that you're studying. What works for English is not going to work for maths. I think it's useful, or like it's helpful to keep that in mind as well. So I recognize that in school, well, we followed the CBSE board. There was little to no space for creativity, to be very honest. And rote learning method, or like memorizing exact points, is going to help me ace school. That's just the truth of it. When you recognize the system, you can sort of implement that into your learning styles that I mentioned before. So you know that rote learning or memorizing certain points is what works for the school system. So you can do that through whatever that I just mentioned, like auditory ways or visual ways, or by writing it, or by having some activities and learning through that. So that's just something to keep in mind. So school, I knew it was rote learning method. For college, I knew there was going to be a lot of auditory because there were just a lot of lectures. And for college, because I took English honors, I knew that it's not going to work the same way as I study political science or history. I will have to look into completely different aspects of the subject itself. I'm yet to make more videos on how I studied for my English honors in a different video, so do subscribe and I will post more on that. I will be making more videos on academia or studying tips because I've been so popularly asked, and most of my university or studying related videos do the best. And I do get a lot of DMs and messages asking me about those questions as well. I hope this video kind of helped you in a way, or at least reassured you that what you're doing is correct, or maybe it's time to change paths. And let me know what else you'd like to see, and do subscribe because I will be posting more related to this topic. So till next time, I guess. Bye bye.